Hi guys, it's Drew here and I'm here to do my video for my weekly review and sort of wrap up of the deck that I used in this week's Top Deck Tuesday choice, which was the Japaridze Tarot or Japaridze. Not sure how you guys pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it. Um, Not really up with my French. And so, before I begin, I just thought I would share some really fantastic news that I woke up to this morning, which is I live in a really old house, and the house is shifting, the walls are cracking. I really need to start looking at moving out very very soon. Um, and when it really pulls down, the front end of the house um, just gets like water everywhere. It comes from the roof, it comes from the floor, and that whole area just gets just soaked. And so I woke up this morning and I um because I had posters there, I hadn't seen it, but the wall has cracked, and beyond that is a towel soaking up water. I've had to move stuff over, and so yeah, I have been waterlogged in my bedroom, and there is no other room in the house that I can move to now that we have a housemate. Otherwise, I probably would have just got my stuff, went back into my old bedroom that I used to share with my partner, and yeah. But we have another housemate living with us right now, and that room is both their studies. So yeah, cramping into a very small space. But a wake up call. I was kind of a bit weirded out and shitty, but that's okay. I'm actually having a really good day because I decided that I wanted to do this video and talk to you guys about just the amazing experience of using this deck. Now, I I pretty much knew what I wanted to do with this deck. I really did, and I have no regrets, guys, about using this deck this week because it was just fantastic. It was, oh my god, oh, I love this deck so much. It's so beautiful. But let's just stop gushing and let's chat about how my week went with the deck. And so, um, as always, I have questions because I like to keep things a little bit structured, and so I can give you guys a bit of an idea of how my week was going. And so, first of all, I'm just going to show you the cards that I primarily used. Now, I did do a spread. Do I actually have it on my desk? Yes. Yes, I do. I did do a spread, and this was one I found online, and I'll try and find a link for it as well because I was trying to look for a spread about releasing, because I had some things that I really wanted to just let go of. And so I found this one that breaks down the angels, Michael, Raphael, and Chamael. Um, and it was a 3 card spread, and I did use this. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to do as well with this deck this week, and which was one of the strengths, was not using a guidebook because I love the guidebook. It's quite beautiful, but there's little meaning to it. It does break down some of the symbols rather, but for the most part, I don't really want to look to the guidebook when using this deck too much anymore, because of the surrealist nature of it, because of the just sheer power that you could take with it, the essence of it, and go down so many different roads and explore so many different creative avenues. I don't really think it would be doing a service to my practice at this current time to be using the book. And that's okay because it's not, like I said, it's not an in-depth book. The meanings, once you've kind of gained an idea of where the artist's perspective is and where she wanted to go with the deck and how she constructed it, then you can kind of put that aside, which I really like about that this deck, because that's what I really want um, to do with this deck, is just to put it aside. And so the questions were, what do I need to clear out? What can I do to harmonize my life right now? And what can I do to love myself right now? And so I don't actually think. Did I write them down? Ah, yes. So I got the five of fire, which is five of wands, the hermit, and the three of gardens. So three of pentacles. So some really fantastic cards. And so instead of using a book, I have been working with the decks that I've been using to create sort of stories as well. And I'm going to link below if you guys haven't already seen. I'm sure most people have. Um, if you're watching this channel, I've created a spread called Shifting Your Story, and I've just done a blog post last night. Spent a couple of hours writing it up and sort of figuring out what I want to say, that goes one step deeper with the first question and gives you a sort of exercise with what you can do with the card and with that question. But I really think those exercises that I'm suggesting in these blog posts really can come back into any deck that you're using. That's the whole point. And so I guess this was kind of a warm up for that, a warm up for me being able to use the cards and just really build stories around them. And I don't want to make this video too long because I do have to go through other questions as well, but I really wanted to share one of the reflections that I had for, I think it was the Five of Wands. And I really like this because it connected, it resonated very, very strongly, and it was very on point. My subconscious mind said, two identical skeletons stand in a bare field amidst a fire. Both have been stripped of flesh of who they are, and all that remains are the bones of what is left. The fire started in creative and impassioned flames, and has started to smoke. The red, swollen, and blooded sky, a symbol of life that is being hidden behind the fog. The challenge has been set, and there's no one to see them dash it out, to clash it out. What was once started in good, jovial spirit has changed and become a threat. And this actually really resonated very strongly because I am actually living in a household where there is some sort of survival instincts going on with everybody around. There's lots of anger, there's lots of tension. There has been some altercations and things like that that I am starting to move through and shift through. And it was very prevalent to how I'm engaging with my partner, ex-partner. You call someone for your partner for 8 years, it's a bit difficult to stop calling them that. And this is something that I want to shift, I want to release. And I really liked the wording that came up with using that those cards, because it felt like, you know, when you're starting a relationship, everything's really crackling and there's passion, there's you know, excitement, and then after a while, when you do realize that, you know, there's going to be troubled times ahead after that honeymoon period, there is that transition between finding yourself and finding yourself within a relationship. And as it's progressed over the years, I've kind of stayed in this relationship because sometimes because it's been safe, sometimes because I was surviving, barely getting by, and you know, I really love this person, and because this person is my best friend and has been as well. So there's all these layers, and I felt like that card really replicated or showed me that we have both been stripped back of everything that we are to be here right now, and to be able to face each other and say, this is it. This is it. We need to sort out our stuff now, because after that, I want to grow new flesh. And it kind of reminds me of Skeleton Woman, where she's kind of just the bare bones of herself, and she, you know, finds her masculine side and her feminine side starts to grow flesh again. I feel like that's where I am with my life right now. So that was a little bit of a ramble, but that's something I did use the cards for. And then I used a couple of the cards specifically for implanting dreams, and I will put my video that I made of my experience, so I won't go into too much detail. But this is one of the strengths, and this is the strength I'm talking about, was implanting dreams. It was a very big success, and I really woke up knowing whatever thread that I had implanted in my dreams did actually, my dream, my subconscious mind did take to it, and it sort of, processed what I wanted to process and asked the questions. So, and it gave me more questions to ask as well, as does dreams. And so that was one of the successes, because a lot of the, and I'll just go through some of the cards that I used, which was Magician, the Priestess, the Empress, and the World. And um, the dreams that I was having, and like implanting this stuff into my dreams, were very, very big shift dreams. They were showing me everything that I have been avoiding for so long. Belief systems, how other people have behaved or have hidden their behavior. And since having those dreams, that behavior has actually started to come out in these people, and it's been very frightening and challenging, but also for me, it's been great to solidify the intention that I set, the questions that I wanted to ask, and the answers that I received. And so, in terms of the challenges of using this deck, there's pretty much only two, and they kind of go together hand in hand. I was having so many dreams, so many freaking dream scenes a night, that when I woke up in the morning, I did not have the time. Sorry, let me take that back. I had the time, but I couldn't get them all out fast enough and with accuracy. And I wanted to get at least the bare bones of everything I saw, because they were really important images that were reflected in my life right now. And the second thing was, I found it really hard to go to sleep. So it's interesting that with the little hours that I did have, I had consecutive dreams that I could recall majority of them, even if I wasn't writing them down, because I ended up stopping writing some of them and just picked the ones that were that felt inside more prevalent. But I found it really hard to go to sleep with this deck, because there was already some fears, some questions, some avoidance going on, because I was like, okay, I've had a couple of nights where some really big, heavy shit has been happening in my dreams. Not nightmares, but stuff that has been coming up. And also, I have been really hypersensitive lately to noise, to seeing things, to knowing things. My intuition and foresight is off the fucking charts. I kid you not, I was lying in bed last night thinking, you need to remove those posters, Drew. You need to move those posters, because when you wake up, they're going to be wet. And I woke up and they were wet. So just really connecting with that part of myself has been a challenge, but also a beautiful thing as well. What did I learn about myself while using this deck? Well, of course, I learned about the power of dreaming and just what I'm actually capable of doing in the dream world and what I'm capable of implanting. I have struggled for a couple of years to try and get to that point where I'm receptive enough to implant things into my dream. And it has been a goal of mine to always try and work with tarot in that way. I think I've just been waiting for the deck that could do that. And this deck is prime for that. And I definitely will be looking at using that one more. But of course, connecting to the different worlds. For me, one of the things I learned about myself is that I still have a very strong fascination with galactic beings and aliens, and but I always find myself in conflict with my curiosity, my deep knowing, my perception of them in my heart, and my fear based perceptions, and sort of the controversy behind, do they exist, and all that kind of like collective um, confusion and fear and all that sort of crap that goes with it. For a while there, I was really connecting with the beings and the starseed energy. I was writing about a sci-fi story, connecting with my higher self in other realms and whatnot. And then I actually had an experience. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want this to be like one of those contactee videos and things like that, because unless somebody wants to hear about that story, I prefer to just keep it at the minimum. But I did have an experience that I perceived to be whatever it was that confirmed a few things, like time lapses and reality shifts. And I felt like a lot of this week using this card and doing the dream work um, brought up a lot of those fears of certain parts of my life where I have had reality shifts. I have had time lapses where, I'll be looking at my clock, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll look at my clock again and it's, 4 o'clock, or vice versa. It'll be 4 o'clock and I'll look at it again and it's 2 o'clock, like with a blink of an eye. So, reality shift and things moving. It's because I believe in that as well. Um, and it was interesting as well because the magician card, which I have been working with as well, because being pagan and wanting to use my power in my practice, I realized that the magician card has an ET face in there, right? Oh, can't, right there. Bad lighting, but that was the case with that one. And so, and a reoccurring theme as well. So I learned a lot about myself, and I learned how, in my dreamscape especially, how to be open about this, how to continue to be curious and open, because once I shut myself down, that's it. That's when the fear really sinks in. Not that I want to go out and, see things, but I've always been curious with aliens and crop circles and all that kind of stuff. So it's not going to go away. Like, this is who I am. This is part of my curiosity. It's part of my soul. It's part of being a sci-fi writer. It's part of being that person. And so I definitely going to be working with that a little bit more as well. And it kind of made me think, of traveling to different different planets, because this kind of reminds me of a planet that has different forms of bacteria, different forms of life growing on it, distant planets, being guided by the light and the sun. And so that was a very engaging experience and a very alerting experience to where I sit with that, where I sit with how am I okay with going there in the dream world, but am I okay with going there in the real world as well? But if you guys have any books around that kind of stuff or anything like that, I'd really love to hear about it as well. And so, lastly, I wanted to just quickly talk about how my next, like, where's next, where am I going to go next with this deck, is I really want to use the Major Arcana specifically to continue to do these implanting and traveling to different worlds, because that's, to me, is part of my practice right now. The Magician, the Empress, and the Priestess are actually currently on my on my altar, which is a moon altar for a course I'm doing. God, the light. Woo! These ones are staying on that altar, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this at the end of the month, about how these have been working with their energies. And my God, already, like, I'm creating some amazing things, like things that I've been wanting to create for so long are starting to come out of my body and come out of my soul and actually onto page and paper with these at my altar. And so that's what I really want to do with that. Just continue with that, because sometimes I like to do different things with the decks, but I really feel like I want to create a long-standing relationship, just diving into these little areas of my own psyche and other worlds, alternative worlds, with this deck. And of course still do spreads with it, but really just focus on using that energy of that right now. And I thought I'd show you a couple of crystals I'm working with. I'm working with a moss agate, and this is my restorer stone, which I'll talk about a little bit about with my wrap up of Moon Daughter week 1. And I have my carnelian, love that, and I have my beautiful sodalite. which I love. These stones right now look so good together. They feel so good together, and they work really well with the kind of color tones in the cards as well. So color energy. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I was gonna mention how I have been using the world card with another tarot card, but then I realized I'm doing kind of the same thing with that as I mentioned in my weekly working, so I don't really need to reiterate on that. But check out my links below if you want to explore your story and sort of get some perspective on how I used a couple of tarot cards to do some inner work as well. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all, and I hope you have a fantastic week. And I am off to probably make my video for my deck coming in this week. So I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to use this week, but I will soon. Thank you guys. Love you. Bye.